Hello, I'm Danny Cook, and welcome to the 9th episode of HalfTimeCuppa's Halftime Podcast, a 15-minute show where we discuss just one footballing topic in as much detail as possible. On today's show, we have just one fantastic panelist in the form of Charlie Pumphrey. So welcome back, Charlie.
Thanks for having me, Danny. Good to be back.
Thank you for coming on. Today's format is slightly different to the previous episode. It's going to be more of a general discussion with today's panelist, Charlie, talking about what it's like to be a Brighton supporter. Charlie, when did you start supporting Brighton?
They're my local team, so if anything, it's just been that natural gravitating towards them since I was a kid. First properly getting into it 2004, so I'd be 7.
What attracted you at the time? Was it the fact that you was local to the team, or?
I remember we had a coach from the club come in. No one special, not manager, no first team, nothing like that. Just like a community coach came in. It was the first contact I'd really had with football. And I think that's kind of steered me towards supporting them. And I think I went on. I was in the I'm in the club photo in 2007. Like if you look at the calendar, I'm sat like one of the mascots that sat in the front with the whole first team.
Oh wow, that's incredible.
That got me. That was it. I was hooked by that point.
Hooked for life. Yeah. So, how old was you when that happened then?
10.
10.
So I just started to understand the game.
So, I mean, we obviously both go to university at UCFB, and we have had various discussions, I'm sure, of how you keep fans and win fans and get fans on side. In fact, I've recently done a PR project on trying to win back fans for Blackpool. One of the things we done for that was trying to create the experiences that you clearly have had with being around first team players and scoring goals on the pitch in a half-time penalty shootout. I'm guessing that's really effective then. That's really made a crucial sort of part in your decision to support Brighton.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's that accessibility, isn't it, to a team, whether it be watching them on TV or being able to go meet players. So I think it's something that Brighton have done. I know for a fact they do a Christmas party every year where the whole first team squad turns up, and everyone who's a member, like a kids member, not even the season ticket holders, they pay something like £2 a year to be like a kids member. They go to the party, they can meet all the players, meet Chris Hughton, the manager, meet some of the coaches and the mascots, and I think that's just encouraging that sort of inclusiveness with players. It would like make it feel like it's all one big community. I think that's something, especially with local clubs that have that real just local area to deal with. I think it's a godsend and something they've done really well.
Other than obviously this coach that came in, what would you say is probably the first memory you had of supporting Brighton?
I remember the first game I went to was at the Withdean, which was a running track. At the time still is. It was Boxing Day 2006. I was really ill, like properly. I should have still been in bed. I've been so excited for this game for so long. So I knew it was happening. I was like, I'm going. I want to go. And we lost 3-1. It was raining. We're in this uncovered, like, temporary stand. It was just the typical English football game. Lost 3-1, but I was hooked. Just couldn't, like, I remember when we scored. I couldn't get enough of it, to be honest.
That goal going in probably done the world of good in the grand scheme of things, surely.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Yeah, I remember it was Alex Ravel still playing. I think they scored it from memory.
So what is it like being a Brighton fan? How would you describe it to friends?
I mean, even in the time that I've supported the club, I'd say turbulent would be the best word for it. I mean, the period before I started supporting the club was arguably the most difficult in the club's history. And then since then, they've gone from League 2 to League 1, up to the Championship, back to League 1, back to the Championship, then ultimately into the top flight. I think it's been the ultimate. It's probably kept me hooked, actually, to be honest. Because I think other people, if Brighton was still a League 1 club, other people wouldn't still be supporting. I think I probably would still be. I know people that I'm friends with that my age weren't interested when they were playing in League 1. Not interested at all. And I think actually Brighton are very keeping fans interested and involved with the club.
On those League One days, if you was to sort of compare it to now, to the riches of the Premier League, is there anything that you sort of remember from the League One days that you'd probably prefer? Like number of games, or I don't know, some of the teams you got to saw, ticket prices?
Yeah, ticket prices, we'll go with that one. Do you know what? I remember when we played Man City in the League Cup years ago. We had a rubbish season. We were awful. All season we were awful. Typical awful League One side, not playing nice football, not getting results. And we beat them on penalties. And I remember but when they had, I think Robinho played, or he was in the squad, or he was there when he was at City. And I remember that being like one of the defining moments of that season. We stayed up on the last day. And I think it's just the drama. Everything's so much, no offense to the Premier League, but everything's so much more exciting. Like Premier League's such fine margins nowadays. It comes down to small things. I mean, Brighton losing 4-0 at the weekend, obviously not a small margin.
At the time of recording, obviously a weekend behind, but that's fine.
Before to Chelsea on whatever date that was. I've rinsed it from my memory. But it was just, I think, the excitement of League One, to be honest, because you never knew what you were going to get. One week, you could win 4-0 one week and get beat 5-0 the next week. It was so up and down. Anyone beats anyone.
Championship-wise, I know you had tough times. You prior to Houghton coming in, you had, I believe, Sammy Huppier at some point.
That's a memory.
Oh, what's his name? I forgot.
Oscar Garcia.
You had Oscar Garcia, but you had
Gus Poyet.
Gus Poyet, yeah, that's the one.
Bordeaux manager.
The memory I have of Brighton in the Championship is their various attempts to try and win the playoffs. And it's so close. Some football fans, those who support Premier League teams, and maybe not experienced the agony and ecstasy of a playoffs. Just talk to us about that. How did that feel to you as a fan?
Well, it's one of those things. You spent all season. We played some. There were some seasons the season that we got in on the last day, we just accepted that it'd be a bit of fun after the end of the season. We didn't deserve to go any further, and we got beaten quite convincingly by Derby that year. It was the year they lost to QPR in the final. But then there were other years where, the most recent time we were in the playoffs against Sheffield Wednesday, we missed out on automatic by goal difference. I can't think of many situations where other clubs have fallen that close and not managed to do it. It was nice that the next season we went on and did it anyway. We went on and got promoted, but it's indescribable when you're there. You go home from having lost in the semi-finals, having spent all season being so good, such like almost on top of the division, large proportions, and then falling short. I think it's something we've been tagged with, especially losing the title last year as the bottle job club of the Championship. It's nice to no longer be that. You've
obviously had some great players over the years. One that really stands out for me, I don't know what it is, but I just liked him when he was at Brighton. It was Leonardo Ulloa. The one where you played Derby in the semi-finals and you got beat convincingly. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Ulloa scored that goal in that
last minute goal at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah. I remember watching that with my friend because he was a Brighton fan. Oh my word, the scenes.
I missed out on tickets. I woke up too late one morning. I was going to get up and get them, and we were going to go to Nottingham because we were like, "There's a chance we can get in here." And we didn't manage to go. And I remember being stood in my living room. I was stood in my living room for the full 90 minutes of watching on Sky Sports. And it was Burnley were playing Reading in one game. It was us and Reading that could get sixth. Burnley had already won the league. We're going to the Premier League at this point. So we were like, we're not going to be helped here. We went 1-0 down. Reading went 1-0 up. So we were like, that's it, done, fine. Off you go to the playoffs, enjoy it. Then Burnley equalised. And then we equalised. And then Burnley scored in the last 5 minutes. We were there like, we're going to miss out by one goal here. We're going to miss out by one goal. And I think it was Paul Merson. From memory, I can picture it being Paul Merson being sat there, just going, there's a goal at the City ground. We're like, okay, Forest have scored. That's going to put the final nail in it. And you just hear Paul Merson go, Brighton are going to the playoffs. And you're like, oh God. And just most of my family support Brighton that were in that room. And I just went running around the house because it was like, that's it. We've done it. We've got in. And then it eventually meant nothing. But it was just that the excitement of like, we've done it, having not deserved to do it because we were pretty dreadful for a lot of that season. It's just a moment I won't forget that season as well, to be fair.
How would you describe that feeling you get when your team, in your case, scraped into the playoff? How would you describe that to someone who supports, say, a Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, who doesn't get to experience the drama of the playoffs? And then going that step further, how would you describe the sense of relief when you get promoted and the emotions around that?
I think to describe it best for a top team, it'd be like saying for the Champions League, only the top 2 would qualify automatically and then 4 more would have to go to playoffs for it. Knowing that finishing 6th and going, oh God, we could do something here. And knowing like having that hope and then having it snatched away is something that it's difficult to describe. But finally getting promoted last year at home to Wigan, we were 2-0 up and then Wigan scored. And I remember thinking, this is it. We're gonna bottle it again. We've done it so many times before. We've done it the season before. We've done it the season before that. And then when the final whistle went, we weren't actually promoted, but then people just flooded onto the pitch. Before the game, Paul Barber, our chief executive, was like, please don't come on the pitch. If we win, please just don't do it. But after the game, you see trickles of people going on, and it was like, oh, they're not stopping them. On we go. I was in tears after that game because after falling so close so many times, and even though it wasn't done, it just felt it was a relief because it was like, oh my God, we finally done it. We finally stepped like beyond where we've been before. Yeah, it's indescribable.
Do you think supporting a team that's, no disrespect, a lot of people are written off. Do you think that has somewhat gone in your favour this season?
I don't think it's hurt us, to be honest. I think the big games against the big 6 teams, If anything, actually, my opinion last year was that if we go up, let's go and have a bit of fun. Let's go to the big grounds. Let's go and play our game. Go and give it our best. And if we come back down, we come back down. It's not the Championship's still beyond where I think we are anyway. As like in the history of our club and where we are at the moment. Actually, it's just enjoyable. I'm sure when it gets closer to April, May, and there's actually a chance we could stay up. I think that'll be when I get a bit more tetchy and feel like we should actually stay up now. It's difficult because being a club that have never been at this level before, not in its current incarnation, it just felt different. I was at the first game of the season against Man City. The atmosphere there, it was a party atmosphere. It was, okay, let's go and have a bit of fun. They're better than us, no question. They'll win the game, no problem. Holding on for 70 minutes at 0-0, it was like, oh, actually, we're not far off this level. We lost 2-0, but actually, we're not a million miles behind these big teams. And actually, the little old Brighton that everyone was saying before the season, Brighton and Huddersfield are non-issues. They're not even going to compete in the league. And actually getting to Christmas and finding the three promoted teams, us, Huddersfield, Newcastle, were actually, I think it was 10th, 11th, 12th at one point, kind of proves to the rest of the league, actually, you can't just take us for granted just because we haven't been here before. We are actually here to compete and we're here to fight to stay up. And it's just nice. It's nice that we haven't fallen away. I worry that it'll happen, but I don't hope so.
And what was the sort of sense of expectation amongst Brighton fans heading into the season and currently, of course?
Actually, I think the expectation now is different to the one at the beginning of the season. Because I think, like I said, at the beginning of the season, it was to fight and fight bravely and just hope that get a few nice results here and there, fight teams, get a few nice wins, have a bit of fun on away days, sort of thing. And then if we go back down, we go back down, que sera, sort of thing. I think now we have managed to beat teams around us. I mean, we've not managed to beat any big teams yet. We have been competing. We haven't been in the relegation zone since August. There's now a feeling of, well, we've added a couple of players. If we can add a couple of players in January, we have the ability to stay in this league. And I think that if we can finish 17th this year, it's an unbelievable achievement. I think it's bigger than getting into the Premier League. It's staying there for any promoted team.
Just wrapping this up then, where do you think Brighton will finish come the end of the season? Where would you, I suppose, like them to finish as number one? And where realistically do you think they will finish as number two?
I'll settle for 1 point above 18th or above them on goal difference, however it happens. Just survival. That's all I'm worried about. Everything else is background noise. And I think we've got enough about us. But looking at some of the transfer business we're trying to do now, it shows ambition from the club. We aren't just settling for what we've got in terms of our squad. And they are trying to deal with some of the issues, like we don't have a Premier League striker at the moment. Having got this new guy from Holland, Lacadia, we've got every chance of staying up. I think every chance. Finally
then, in one word, if you can, if you could describe how it feels to be a Brighton fan, what sort of word springs to mind?
Exciting.
Why exciting? Go on.
Because one moment we'll feel like the greatest team in the world, and the next moment we'll throw it all away, or vice versa. We'll either snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, or vice versa. We'll either be the best team in the game or the worst team. No question. We'll either be right on top and really pushing and looking really good, or everyone will be making mistakes. There's no midway house for us. Everything's either going perfectly or rubbishly, basically. Rubbishly is not a word, but you know what I mean.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below on what you think it must be like to be a Brighton fan. Feel free to put that in the comment section below. Be sure to check out the various pieces of content we have across the site, including our football predictor at HalfTimeCuppa.com, and of course Charlie's fantastic alternate history pieces. Now, what piece did you have out this week?
I had a piece on Cristiano Ronaldo this week, just looking at there was a rumour that back in 2003 he nearly joined Barcelona, and obviously that would have turned the football world as it is now on its head, and just a quick piece looking at that.
Brilliant. Go and check that out. It's well worth a read. Thank you once again to today's panelist, Charlie Pumphrey. So thank you for coming on again, Charlie.
No problem, Danny. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. I've been your host, Danny Cook, and you've been listening to the 9th episode of the Halftime Podcast.